Hello and welcome to Dubai Trains, and today we're going to look at signs for a building. And signs are great because you can tie in the location of a factory, what the factory does, and the era that you're in based on the style and also the factory and some other components there. Now, there's three different types of ways that I can come up with to make a sign or a company logo for your building. The first one is this one. I'll show you in a minute how to do that. Is to print it out on a piece of paper. That's probably the easiest one to do, and to create a painted on brick effect. You can also use thicker paper, and then you can create a billboard effect where they would just stick it or glue it onto the bricks. Now here we have different options. These are signs from ITLA, and he made a different version. So we have this one here, the stick sign. I'm just going to call it a stick sign. That's probably not the correct name for it, but it doesn't matter. And you can just get this one, paint it and stick it up just like this on the top of your building, or maybe glue it onto the building, and that is just like that, and that would look super sharp. Then we have this. We have the wording Illinois Toolworks in a frame, so you could take that with the frame and just like the stick sign, just put it straight up or put it on the wall. Then we have here a billboard frame, and that's one of the versions I'm going to use. A billboard frame, and what I'm going to do is you could take again the stick sign and stick it onto this billboard, or take the frame, stick it onto the billboard. But I'm going to actually stick the frame on the billboard and then cut the frame away, so we just have separate letters. So we have signs for the fascia, in this case on the bricks. These you can put on the fascia, or you can put it on top of the building. Then we have the billboard that's obviously on top, and then we have a stencil. ITLA Scale Models was so gracious to provide me with 2 stencils, and what you do with this is you put it onto your fascia of the building where you want it, and then you mask everything else, get a spray can, and then just spray exactly there where the wording is. Because that would then go here, because we're going to tell a story just by adding the names onto the building. So what's going to happen, this top section of the building was actually built later, and the side was built later as well. So when the building first started off as Illinois Toolworks, it was right here. This was the building, it was only this section. So the logo was right here on the top of what was in the building and in the middle. So that's going to be that one there. And then I'm going to get the second bigger, you see it's much bigger, this one that I just explained with the wording and the billboard, and I'm just going to put that on top just right there. So that is going to look absolutely amazing. So let me show you guys how to do all this. Let's start with this one that we're going to put onto the bricks. And the first step would be to print this out, and do that in several sizes just to make sure I have some options. And then you cut that out, and we're going to sand it from the back because we want to have that paper to be a bit thinner. So then when we glue it onto the bricks, that we can actually have some brick relief coming through to that paper. Then we cut it out, and then comes an important step where we need to actually color with a marker the white paper and color it black, as the end of this sign is black. So I got my box with different types of markers, and first I need to find one that works. They all don't seem to work anymore. But what you want to do is make a test piece to ensure that the marker you take doesn't run when it's wet. So as you see here on the top left, this permanent marker turned out to be not so permanent when wet. And you don't want that, because when we glue it, it's going to run. So now the sign is ready to go. I just pre-position it. It's a one-time shot type of deal, so you really want to make sure that you know where to position it. Then we add some matte medium to the back. I add it quite liberally. Don't want it to dry out. You really want it to be on all the edges as well. Now, don't miss a spot. And then I position it. I could reposition it a little bit lengthwise to get it exactly in the middle where I wanted it. But do be careful, because the paper is very thin, so you can easily tear it. Add some more matte medium on the top, and I just stab it a bit with a brush to really get it in between the bricks. So now the sign is positioned and glued onto the building. The glue is dry, and it's time to fade it a bit more and add some age to it. And I do that by painting on bricks. This simulates the effect that the paint would have been chipped off the bricks, but I don't want to chip away the sign, so it's just easier to paint the bricks on top of the sign. It will give the same effect, but it's just easier to do. After that, I take my favorite charcoal gray and I dry brush just some dust, some dirtiness onto the sign itself, just to place it a bit better into the building, just a bit too fresh for my liking. I said this is one of the original signs on the building that's probably been there for decades, and we have a new fresh sign sitting on top. So this is not the main sign to indicate what this building is. So now it's time to sign you guys towards the like button. If you enjoyed this video thus far, please hit that button so other people can find the video as well. So then it's onto the billboard sign. It came in this micro plywood, which is great material. It doesn't warp, but it does need a little bit of some paint, a bit of color. To be honest, I don't really know what the sign would have been made of in real life. I'm guessing it's just wood. Maybe the letters are steel. I don't know. So I'm just going to paint it a little bit generic. I'm just going to go for a rusty wood look if that exists. And for the letters, I'll come back to the color choice in a minute. But I'm going for black as it is more prototypical to what I'm doing. And here you see again, I'm just dry brushing on a wash. So the left is totally fresh, and on the right we have that dry brush. And it just takes a bit of the freshness and the sharpness away. Then add some rust to the frame on the back. This frame has 4 different lattices, that's the word, where you can stick the letters on. I found that 4 is just too much for the letters I have, so I cut away one. I want to have as few as possible so you can see the letters more clearly. So here you see it, I have 3 and the letters fit on there perfectly. So I'm just going to add a matte medium to all letters. I'm going to leave them in the carrier sheet as discussed because I want to have them all glued on first, have them really neatly positioned. I don't think if I position those one by one myself, I can get them very tight, to be honest. And they're already in this bracing, so let's just use the bracing. I really let that dry overnight, and then this is what it looks like. Now, you could call it a day, you could leave it like this. Of course, we always want to go the extra mile on the channel, so I take away that bracing, and here is the result, and I'm really happy with it. Now, just to add the legs to the billboard, and just to glue it onto the building, and then we're done. And one thing I want to say about this billboard and the color choice, and realistically speaking, I wanted to go with either black or white. Black is more realistic, but the challenge you're going to see, and you'll see it in the B-roll, is that if you're on eye height, you don't see it because the black doesn't contrast with the dark roof. So if you go down to the point of view of the citizens of Chicago, then you can see it because it contrasts nicely with the sky. So you have a bit of a choice there for who do you intend the sign to be. Now, you could solve this problem by just painting it yellow or red or brown or a different color, but I wanted to stay true to the black that the sign probably would have been. So this is how it's going to be. So I'm really happy with the result. Let me know in the comments down below if you would do anything different. That's it for today. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.